What is a 1RM? A 1RM is a way to assess dynamic strength. It measures the maximum amount of weight that a given muscle can move through a complete contraction one time with good form. Before starting this protocol, make sure your client warms up. As you can see here, my client is doing dynamic stretching to warm up before her 1RM. Some important tips before your client starts their 1RM. Make sure their legs are at a 90-degree angle. Do not use your hands for support, but they could grab the handles on the side. When pushing the weight up, their knees should be slightly bent, as you can see here, and don't let them lock their knees. Before the 1RM, client is warming up by doing tens of maximal repetitions of the specific exercise using light weight. After this warm-up, client will be resting from 3 to 5 minutes before her first trial. The initial weight should be 50 to 70% of the person's perceived capacity. If client achieves the amount, make sure they rest for 3 to 5 minutes between trials. That's how much is needed so it can be an accurate assessment. Resistance is increased for the following 1RM. It could be increased by 2.5 to 20 kilograms or 5.5 to 44 pounds. Keep in mind, all repetitions should be performed at the same speed of movement and range of motion. You will continue adding weight until your client can no longer achieve it. As you can see here, my client is aiming to complete a 2-plate 1RM, but she is not able to achieve it. Therefore, her 1RM is the weight she was able to complete before this one. This protocol should be achieved within 4 reps because you do not want to fatigue your client. This is the formula you use to see what fitness category you fall under. It's weight pushed in pounds divided by body weight in pounds. The weight pushed in pounds is the final weight you lifted successfully, which would be your absolute 1RM. My client lifted 160 pounds successfully and she weighs 115, so therefore we get 1.39, which falls below average. These are the fitness categories for leg strength. Next, I will show you a submaximal strength test. This test works best for those who are sedentary and have never worked out before, older individuals, and adolescents. The same procedures apply from the 1RM. Client should have legs at a 90-degree angle, can't use hands for support, and has to keep the knees slightly bent. Do not lock the knees. And remember to always warm up before starting. With an appropriate initial weight, client will try to complete 10 reps or more. If client is able to achieve more than 10 reps, weight will be increased for the next trial until client can no longer do more than 10. Make sure they rest 3 to 5 minutes after each trial. We are trying to find clients of maximal strength, so we are looking for a rep greater than 2 and less than 10. Because client achieved 11 reps in the last trial, we will add more weight. As you can see, she was only able to do 6 reps. Therefore, in order to predict her 1RM, we need the weight she lifted and the number of repetitions she was able to complete. This is the equation for predicting 1RM based on reps to fatigue. So all you need is the weight lifted divided by 1.0278 minus 0.0278 times the number of reps performed before fatigue. This will give your client their predicted 1RM. By plugging in my client's weight and reps she was able to do, we get her predicted 1RM to be 81 pounds. Now we will explain the push-up test. This test requires proper form. So when coming down, hands should be pointing forward, shoulder width apart. When coming up, make sure your client straightens the elbows and back should be straight. Head should always be facing forward, and when coming down, client's chin should touch the mat, as you can see here. The stomach should not touch the mat. The test will start in the downward position. This test is non-stop, which means we will count how many consecutive push-ups client can do without failure of posture or fatigue. If they need to take a small break, they can, but it has to be done in the upward position with elbows straightened and back straight. We can see here client is struggling to do another push-up and is losing posture, therefore we will stop the test here. A modified push-up is the knee push-up. The same procedures and form apply for the knee push-ups. Hands should be pointing forward, shoulder width apart. When coming up, straighten the elbows and keep the back straight. Only different, knees will be on the mat with feet together. Remember, head should always be facing up. Test will start in the downward position. We will continue to count his consecutive push-ups until he can no longer proceed. It's 4, 5, 6, 7. As we can see here, he's starting to struggle. So we will stop the test here. This is the fitness categories for the push-up test by age and sex. If I was to categorize my client, he is 22 years old and male. Therefore, he would fall under needs improvement.